I have this mother-in-law who might be the most jealous person I've ever ran into. Well, this is where the story gets really weird, guys. It's not your average, run-of-the-mill, annoying mother-in-law that I have to deal with. No, this one's way worse. It all started with our food. That's right, I learned a secret about what was happening to me and why I was getting sick every day. Let me tell you exactly what I found out. Hello everyone, I'm new right here, and I just decided to finally rant. I'm 32 years old, married, female, and I need to get some things off my chest before I actually combust. Basically, my mother-in-law and I have a very weird relationship. I'm not exactly sure how to categorize it, but we don't get along. She's controlling and always tries to dictate what my relationship with my husband should be like. I know that it's her son as well, but now that he's married to me, we became a separate family. I don't think that she has the right to ever speak to us about how we should live our lives or what rules we should follow. Ever since my husband James and I got married around 3 years ago, she's been a constant issue for me. At first, I thought it was just me, and maybe this was their family dynamic, so I should try to be understanding and everything, but then James started reacting the same way. That's when I realized that I'm not in the wrong, and she's actually trying to butt into our business a lot more than she should. Even if we wanted to buy a new table, she'd insist that we ask her first or get her opinion. If we ever do it without letting her know, she gets offended because she thinks that we're trying to remove her from the family, even though that's far from the truth. If it weren't for James and my unconditional love for him, I would never let myself be a part of the family that Hannah was a part of. But I fell in love with James in a way that would not allow me to let go of him. It did not even feel real at one point because I was so invested in him. He truly made my life so much better that I don't even care if my mother-in-law makes my blood pressure rise every time I come across her. As long as I know that I'll be with James at the end of the day, I'm happy. Well, I met James during college, and we weren't majoring in the same thing, but we took the same elective one semester. We were assigned together for a group project and instantly realized that we worked great together. Then we started talking, became friends, and started hanging out on the regular basis as well, both inside campus and outside. It was not until a few months of being friends that we started to realize how much we romantically like each other. So we get engaged a year after we left college, and it was the happiest day of my life. However, the days before our marriage made me mad, and sometimes it's because of his mom. Hannah kept bugging me about every single thing, every decision that I made. She wanted to be a part of it. Some of them I get because it's her son's wedding and all of that, but decisions like which color scheme we want to do, or who we invite, or what dress I would be wearing, she wanted to have a say in it. It made me mad, but it was supposed to be for the happiest day of my life, so I didn't really say anything to her. I let her do what she wanted, even though I kept her in check, so that the wedding would not turn out exactly like what she wanted and not what, well, we as a couple desired. She still got a bit upset. She's an incredibly nosy woman, but the only thing that lets me see past that is the fact that my husband takes my side in all the situations. Most people have the concern that life gets miserable with a mother-in-law like mine, but for me, the truth is that it only gets tough if you have no one by your side to support you. James had always accepted the fact that his mother is way too nosy for her own good, and whenever she tried to butt into my business to the point where I would start to feel uncomfortable, he would stop her and tell her to mind her own business. Obviously, he would do it in a calm manner than what I'm implying, but the ideal still got across. It did cause a couple of fights between both of them because she didn't like the fact that he wasn't letting her know everything about our lives. Even when we tried explaining the issue to her multiple times, in a very calm manner, she still did not get it, so we've just given up now. It's of no use to waste our energy on her if she doesn't even understand why she's wrong and why it's affecting us so much. The one time it got too much for me to deal with is when we had a huge argument around a year into our marriage. Basically, she's been wanting a grandchild ever since we've gotten married, like the day after the marriage. She sends me a text message welcoming to the family and ended it by saying how she was super excited to be a grandmother. At that point, I didn't really say anything to her because I know parents can get excited to become grandparents. But then she started doing it a lot. Every single time we would meet, she'd ask me a ton of invasive questions that I've mentioned were too uncomfortable for me to answer. Yet she took no regard for my discomfort and continued asking me these questions anyways. Every time that I'd get her a response that she didn't like, she'd start giving me advice on what to do to make the process easier. First of all, none of her advice was logical or scientifically proven. Most of them were home remedies to make my ovulation period longer or something like that, and it really rubbed me in the wrong way. Maybe she's just trying to be nice, because I know she doesn't try to be rude purposely, but it's just what she's used to and what she's been doing all her life. But either way, I could not tolerate it anymore, so I told her off. Before starting the fight, I confronted James about the situation, because I wanted him to know what was going on and what his stance was about the sitch. So, I wanted to know if he'd support me in going against his mom, and I honestly did not expect much because I know it's tough to go against your parents. But to my surprise, he said that he was on my side, and he'd support me through the entire thing. That was my motivation. I needed to tell her off for her own behavior. Of course, like usual, this ended in an argument that wasn't even needed in the first place. She just kept insisting that we let her help or something like that. But honestly, I told her to mind her own business, because what I do with my life and my family is my decision and not hers. Anyways, it's not like we cut her off or anything. She's still a part of the family, and we could not have just let her drift apart. She was James' mom, so we had to be careful as well. Anyways, the months kept passing by, and slowly but gradually, we started to get past the fighting. However, she was still the same nosy person that she was before, and it never stopped. It never went away, and we stopped just bugging her about it. Instead, what we did was try and keep her out of our business as much as possible by hiding things from her. I think that's what we were initially doing wrong, because at that time, we used to tell her everything that was going on, and then we'd try and take her advice, but it wasn't worth it. Going through so much because she could not understand the boundaries that we set as a family was not worth it at all. Now, she comes to stay at our house a few days every couple of months, and we don't mind it too much. She comes, we stay clear of her, and she stays out of our business. However, the last time that she came over, she did something that I don't even know if I can forgive her for. She's not just nosy anymore, but she's deranged, I'm telling you guys. However, I'm still not sure that she's the reason everything's happened. There's just my suspicion, but hey, it might not be true. I don't know, I'm like 90% sure that she's the one behind everything. Let me give you guys a simple overview of what's been happening, right? Basically, Hannah came to stay at our house last month. She's been staying the entire month. Typically, her stay lasts about a week or so. But I'm not sure why this time she's planning on staying for almost 2 months. Anyways, she's been at our house and things have been chaotic, to say the least. The first thing that went wrong was that she got really mad at us for not involving her in a family meeting about finances. It made me mad when she told us that she's mad about something like this. James, Hannah, and I were sitting around the dining table having dinner when James told me that there were some things he needed to discuss with me before we sleep, and he told me so that he would not forget about it. We forgot the fact that Hannah was sitting right there with us, and obviously she would want to know every single detail, and she did. As soon as James mentioned that, she told us that she wanted to be included in the meeting. We tried telling her it wasn't anything that important, and that she could relax, go to sleep, beat it. But she kept insisting that she should be included since she was also, quote, part of the family, and had every right to be included. Now, it's not like she wasn't part of the family, but hey, there were certain things that should stay between a couple. If she's living in the house with us, maybe that would have been a different story, but she was not. So, there was basically no point in us including her in a meeting about the finances of our house. Anyways, We told her to relax, chill out, go to sleep, because it had gotten a bit late. She did, but she didn't seem very thrilled about it, I'll tell ya. That night, we had our meeting. We discussed finances, budget cuts, and went to sleep. However, the next morning, Hannah seemed so mad to the extent that just seemed stupid, honestly. She tried ignoring us for a bit and made up this whole issue of us not deeming her worthy enough to be part of family meetings, and how slowly we were distancing ourselves. No matter how much we tried to tell her that it wasn't true, we just didn't want to disturb her. She wouldn't believe it. It caused a bit of a ruckus in the household, but then suddenly she starts being nice again and understanding about everything. It was a bit suspicious in the moment, I'll say, and it's certainly more suspicious now. Well, basically what happened was that Hannah tried to apologize for her actions by cooking us dinner. She said it was the least that she could do and she felt awful about everything, so she wanted to do something. She also said that we should let her cook because she's living with us and she has not been helping around as much as she should. We initially told her that she didn't need to feel obligated to do something like that for us because she's simply staying with us. She was family, and we did not expect anything in return for her just because she wanted to stay with us. However, things got a bit rough after that, you could say. The first night that she cooked dinner for us, she went to get the ingredients herself. We didn't know what she got, but the food she made was good. However, we got so sick that night. Both James and I got food poisoning, and the only thing that we had that day was the food that Hannah made us. So there's no way something else could have gotten us sick. At that point, we just thought it might be because Hannah accidentally used expired products or something like that, so we didn't really mind it too much. We thought it wouldn't be, intentional, so we didn't really say anything to her. However, the same thing happened again. Hannah made food for us again because she didn't really feel like she did enough, and then she felt even more guilty because we got sick because of her food. So she made even more food. But then we get sick again. So now, when the second time that we got sick, we knew something was up. How is it possible that every time Hannah cooked something, both of us got sick, both of us got food poisoning, and we could not leave bed for 3 days, and this time we knew that the ingredients were fine because she gave us a list of things to get and we got it for her? She didn't pick anything out herself, so it's unbelievable that she got the wrong ingredients. Even then, we gave her the benefit of the doubt and didn't really say anything to her. Besides, I'd say it's a bit ridiculous to consider that she tried to poison us because we're her family. However, I feel like she has something to do with it because there's no way we're getting food poisoning twice by her food. In between this, James and I cooked dinner around 4 to 5 times, and guess what? None of us got sick. We even made the same dish that Hannah cooked and, the first time, and nothing happened. We checked the ingredients that were left from Hannah's cooking and everything looked perfect. The only reason that I'm even suspicious about Hannah doing something with our food is that every time she cooked it, I would enter the kitchen and she'd try to hide what she was doing and would get really defensive as well. She would not let me help. She would not let me stay. She wouldn't even let me lay out the ingredients for her. She'd tell me to relax, not pay attention to anything that's happening in here. I don't have proof yet, guys, so I'm not going to make a big fuss about the entire thing, and I'm not going to tell James about it either. I'm going to search more, and then I'll let everybody know. Update number 1. So, I was not delusional. I found proof that Hannah's deliberately causing food poisoning, and I'm not sure why, but she is. In the beginning, I felt like I was thinking too much about the situation and simply needed to calm down. I mean, Hannah's family, she's James' mom. Why would she try and poison us? It wasn't really making sense to me, but I wanted to figure out the truth as quickly as possible. So, we could get this past us. When we got sick for the second time, I knew something was up. Hannah's acting skills were below par as she pretended to worry for us and fumbled over her words as she recounted everything that she used to make the dish. All of this, along with the fact that she never had dinner with us when she cooked, was seeming to turn out very suspicious. The apologies, the worrying, it all seemed like an act to me, and even though I could see it all very clearly, I knew James would not be able to believe me without showing any proof, since it's his mother that we are currently talking about. So, the next time that Hannah wanted to cook for us, instead of denying it as James did, I told her to do whatever she wanted and make whatever she wanted. However, we own this mobile camera that we sometimes place around the house for our dog when we have to leave the house for the entire day. I put the camera in the kitchen and angled it in a way that Hannah would not be able to see it, but the camera would be able to record each and every movement of her. This way, we'd be able to see what she's been up to. The truth came out when I checked that camera that day. Well, we made sure to make her go to sleep before we'd have dinner, since we gave an excuse of work keeping both of us busy until late at night. However, Hannah did not have the food that she cooked yet, again, and that's when I knew something was definitely up. It's weird to not even have a bite of the food that you spent hours cooking. We threw the food out as soon as she went to sleep that night, and when we were asked the next morning, we had to lie and say it was a great meal. Her confusion when she noticed we weren't sick did not go by, well, even though she tried to hide her expression as soon as it came. Checking the cameras, we found that she's actually been trying to poison us. Every time she cooked, she used something. Loperamide. For those of you not aware of what loperamide's capable of, it's an over-the-counter medicine for diarrhea. However, excessive amounts of it can cause symptoms like food poisoning. That's what Hannah has been adding to our food every single time she cooks. When we saw the footage, James turned pale and sickly, breathing shallow, and he could not believe the fact that his own mother would do something like this. Anger consumed him when he saw the footage, and he tried to get up and confront Hannah, but then he stopped. He said he needed time to process the entire thing before it went downhill, and I agree. It's hard for James to come to terms with everything because even though I knew something was up with Hannah, he had no clue. It was only when I dumped this entire idea on him and showed him the footage that he got to know that his mom was behind every bit of this. So, we're going to wait a day or two before we confront Hannah. Because as much as I want to give Hannah crap for what she did, I value my husband much more, and if he isn't mentally ready to go through that yet, I respect the decision, and I will continue with it only when he's comfortable enough to do so. Update number 2. Hey, it's been 2 days since we saw the footage of Hannah purposely giving us food poisoning when James thought that he was ready to confront her about the situation and demand an explanation. We were just trying to find the right time to start this conversation because honestly, we weren't exactly sure how to go about it. Should we have just gone up to her and asked her to give us an explanation? It felt a bit weird, honestly, but the opportunity was given to us in a silver platter when Hannah offered to cook food again. The thing that kept bugging me was the fact that when we didn't get sick from the food the third time she cooked it, she was visibly very confused about the entire situation. She kept asking us how were we and if we were feeling okay or if something was wrong. Every time we would tell her that we're fine, okay? She didn't need to worry. She looked like she didn't believe it and then would go back and asking about our health just a few hours later. So it was pretty obvious that she wasn't expecting something to happen and very confused when it didn't. Anyways, we let off that, and when she asked us if she could cook again, we told her no. We let her know that she wasn't allowed to cook anything in this house anymore, and any ideas or acts that she has, she should get rid of them. Basically, we took this as an opening to confront her about everything that she's done and demand an explanation as well. At first, she was very confused because she seemed to think that we were just being nice to her. We weren't letting her cook because we didn't want her to be tired and all, so she kept insisting that she was not tired and she felt really sorry for all the trouble that she's been causing, so that's why she wanted to cook for us. When we kept saying no, she didn't seem like she was going to get the hint. Instead, she kept insisting and at one point even got a bit agitated about the entire thing. That's when we told her that we knew what she's been doing and how she's been making us sick on purpose, and since this confrontation was very sudden, we didn't have the tape on us. It was upstairs in our room. So when we were telling her that we knew about everything, she denied it and started a fight. She said some very mean things, and not just to me, but to James as well. She told us how arrogant we were to think that we were, quote, above her, or something like that, and how we were falsely accusing her of stuff when our weak immune systems just simply could not handle the food. She proceeded to call me selfish and explain how I was rotting my son's brain and turning him against her. It got worse when James decided to take my side in all this and go against his own mother. As soon as she started saying all those mean things to me, James jumped up and defended me and told her to never ever say anything like that to me ever again. This made her angry, and she told me I need to get myself away from her son. While I was arguing with her, James went up to our room and got the footage that he had downloaded prior to this. When she saw that had been recorded, she gets angry, and she realized that she's been caught. However, for some reason, she just gets even more aggressive and did not listen to a single word that we said. She resorted to screaming and cursing us, and amidst that, we found out that the reason she had done all this was because we did not invite her to the family meeting that we had just a few days into our stay at her house. She wanted to be invited to it, and when we told her to go to sleep while we had the meeting ourselves, she felt like she was being pushed out of the family, and we didn't have a place for her anymore. According to her, she should know every single thing that happens in the house because it's her son's house. Again, when we corrected her, she gets even more aggressive, so we let her be. She stormed up to her room, leaving us downstairs to think about what to do next. In this state, she's never going to apologize to us or accept her own mistake. Update number 3. A day after Hannah got aggressive, we thought that we could try talking to her again and make her see the sense of the situation. If she could just accept her mistake and apologize for her actions, everything would be okay. And maybe, which is a very big maybe, we could try to go back in how we were before. Although, I'm not sure if we were ever going to allow her to cook food for us again. Anyways, we went to her room and asked her to talk to us about the situation, but she was still as aggressive as she was before. We thought she might have calmed down a bit about the situation after a good night's sleep, but it seemed like the sleep did nothing to calm her down. Realizing that nothing was going to go the way we wanted it to go, and that Hannah was never going to accept her apology, made me burst with anger. She tried to ruin our health and even cause so much mental pain for not just me, but her son as well, and she feels no remorse for it as well. That's when James made me remember that I could always contact Destiny to help with the situation. You see, Destiny is James' grandmother, which means that she's Hannah's mother-in-law. Destiny always just really liked me, and would always take my side in things that Hannah would always disagree with. See, everyone in the family knows that Hannah's extremely nosy and would just try and be included in other people's business. Everybody was annoyed by it and would try their hardest to keep Hannah out of their family, so that she would not try and give her 2 cents on it as well. Destiny knew firsthand that it was, well, like handling Hannah and having her as a part of the immediate family. That's why she's always so helpful towards me and just made sure that I was comfortable in the family. We did have a different kind of bond, and everybody could tell that Hannah was always jealous of how close we were. We also knew that the only person to make Hannah come back on track and make her realize what she was doing was Destiny. Hannah listened to everything Destiny told her and was already really scared and disappointed of her. So I called Destiny and told her everything that happened in the past month when Hannah was living with us. Even though I didn't show the proof to Destiny, she believed me. I asked her to come over and stay at our house for a couple days so she could teach Hannah a lesson, and she agreed. However, she asked me what James thought about the entire situation, and she was proud to tell James that did not agree with his mom when it was clear that she was wrong. Destiny is supposed to arrive tomorrow, and Hannah, well, we can get through this entire situation because I'm so tired of having to deal with Hannah's childish antics just because she didn't get what she wanted. Update number 4. Hannah left our house for a while now, all thanks to Destiny. So basically, when Destiny arrived at our house, Hannah was the one to open the door for her. You could see the shock on her face as she realized it was her mother-in-law standing in front of her. She was confused, but she tried to play it off like she didn't really mind. However, She knew how she was acting all the past days, so she knew what Destiny was doing here as well. As soon as Hannah opened the door, Destiny sneered, closed the door behind her, and confronted Hannah about what she had done. Suspense rang in the air as Destiny presented Hannah with the facts. Hannah quickly lost control of her initial denial and simply became angry. Her expression twisted into a rebellious yet embarrassed expression. It hurts to see the distance grow wider. Driven by Hannah's desperate attempt to just divert attention and hide the truth of Destiny's stubborn willingness to reveal it? As the argument escalated, Hannah's calm exterior crumbled as the fight got more heated, revealing cruel comments and sarcastic taunts that Destiny threw Hannah's way. With the calm and front that she put up and Hannah's agitated emotions, Destiny stood her ground and persisted in the argument. She kept the footage right in front of everyone, showing Hannah the fact that everyone knew what she had done, and there was no denying it. Destiny kept insisting that Hannah should apologize to James and me, but Hannah just kept denying it and arguing the fact that we were throwing her out of the family and not including her in anything. She was adamant about holding her daughter-in-law responsible and simply demanding an apology, and she was not, going to give it. Hannah slowly realized that she was not going to win against everyone, so she decides to give up. At first, her apology was very half-hearted, and she didn't seem like she meant it. It looked like she had apologized just because she was told to do so. However, when Destiny picks up on that, she humiliates Hannah a bit more and expresses the concern of actually meaning an apology. She made Hannah understand how selfish she was acting, and simply how irresponsible it was as a mother to harm her own child and his wife. Well, with eyes wide and tears sparkling, Hannah finally understands what she did and apologized to us sincerely with proper etiquette. Not just that, she instantly went to go and pack up her things from her room and made, to leave. Since James was a bit attached to his mom, he told her that he forgave her, but he could never forget what she has done and wasn't sure if their relationship would ever be back to the way that it was. Understanding that this was caused because of her own mistakes, she took what was given to her and left the house. She hasn't returned, and it's been a few months. So, I was reading the comment section on this story, and it seemed like a lot of people were upset with Hannah. Yeah, OP's insane mother-in-law, and the reasoning is because, she was literally poisoning two people, and she never got in trouble for it. At the end of the story, she was basically kicked out, but she never had any real repercussions for literally adding drugs to somebody's food and purposely trying to harm them. That's wild, that's toxic, that's nonsense. I want to know your thoughts on this story. Maybe, if you were in OP's position, you would give a little advice on what exactly you would do to handle this insane mother-in-law. Personally, me, I would not be eating one bite of food from mother-in-law. The second I found out that she was getting me sick from eating her food, I wouldn't have given her a second chance, a third chance. After the initial time, that would have been it. Anyways, it was way more nefarious than that. She was actually poisoning the food. It wasn't just bad cooking. Anyways, thanks for joining me on today's video. And if you guys want these stories every day, all you have to do is subscribe. So make sure you do that for daily videos. I'll see you tomorrow, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.